Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cohen back here again today with another video. Today, I just want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. They just had a game against the Warriors tonight. Very bad loss to a very depleted Warriors team, and I just want to talk about why they've been so disappointing so far. But before I get into it, drop a like, drop a subscribe, comment, tell me how you feel about the Mavericks so far this season, if you think they can turn it around. For reference, the Mavericks right now are 14th in the Western Conference, 9-14 record, 1-7 in their last 8 games. They're 3 games out of the playoffs right now, which isn't a lot. There's still a ton of season left. And they have had some problems with COVID. They've had a bunch of key guys who haven't played a lot of games. They've had some guys like Porzingis has only played about half of the game. Same with like Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Richardson. So guys are getting healthy due to COVID, injury, stuff like that. But even despite that, some of these issues don't seem like they're personnel related. They're just, or like the absence of personnel related. It just seems like they're team issues, team construction issues, playing issues. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. We'll start with Luka. He's been incredible. He's really good. He came into the season as an MVP frontrunner. He's been great, like I keep saying. But part of me was hesitant to call him the MVP or like before the season predict him as the MVP, really just because I was unsure about Dallas. To be an MVP in the NBA, you have to normally be a top 2 seed in your conference, and the Mavs have a lot of holes. The only really exceptions for being one of those lower seeds and winning MVP is like if you're a Russell Westbrook, where your team is just terrible. You put up a triple double for the first time since Oscar Robertson. You have like an incredible season. You need a lot to go your way basically to get an MVP in this league without being one of those top 2 seeds. And the Mavericks, like I said, it seemed like they had some holes, and those holes are showing a lot in the early season. Probably their 4 biggest issues I'm going to address are their 3-point shooting, their rebounding, their coaching, and their playmaking. I could also go into defense because that's another huge hole they have. But their defense has been about the same as it was last year. And even though they spent all game getting cooked, if their defense has just kind of been the same and everything else has gotten worse, I guess defense probably isn't what you should focus on right now. You should probably fix those other issues. Because even with this not great defense, this team pushed a really good Clippers team to 6 games last season, with Porzingis leaving during the series due to injury. So this team was really good even with a bad defense. The problem is that their offense went from first, like historically great, like it was one of the best offenses we'd ever seen, to like the bottom third of the league, which is just not something you can have if you want to keep playing that like kind of mediocre defense. You have to have a great offense. It's why the Nets are still good, even though their defense is like league historically bad. It's because their offense is historically good for the NBA. It's just not been great. But I'm going to get back into those other things. We're going to start 3-point shooting. The Mavericks can't buy a 3-pointer. Their 2 best players, Luka and Porzingis, are shooting 30% on the season from 3, or around about 30%. Their percentages have been factored in today's game. Porzingis played pretty well, or not played pretty well, but he shot pretty well from 3-point range tonight. Luka was okay, but they need to pick it up more than just in this one game because 30% is just unacceptable for 2 guys who take the amount of threes they do. Luka takes an incredible amount of threes, and to shoot that poorly on them, it's just not. It just hurts their offense all around. If he's going to shoot that many, he has to step it up. And honestly, teams really don't have to guard him that much from the 3-point line. Like, he takes a lot of difficult threes too. He doesn't take just like a lot of catch and shoot threes or ever take catch and shoot threes. And I'll get to the playmaking problem in a little bit. But Luka's threes are difficult. And part of that is the playmaking. Part of that is that a lot of other guys aren't hitting their threes, so the spacing's not great. 3-point shooting is a problem on this team. And obviously, a big part of that probably comes from the fact that they dealt their best shooter, one of the best shooters of all time statistically, according to 3-point percentage. I don't know if he still is or not, but coming into this season, Seth Curry statistically had the best 3-point percentage in NBA history. And they dealt him coming to the season for Josh Richardson. The goal is to improve their defense. The problem is they still can't defend. They still suck at it, and Richardson is shooting 27% from 3. It's bad. This team cannot shoot the 3-pointer. And for a team that shoots a lot of threes, they shot 50 threes tonight. You cannot be that bad from 3. I mean, they were good from 3 tonight, honestly. I think they were 20 of 50, which is pretty good. 40%, not bad. But this was a very, very big outlier for this team. This team can't hit threes. Next, we're going to get into rebounding. So, for context, tonight the Warriors played the Mavericks. They beat them. And the Warriors' tallest player, due to injuries, James Wiseman's hurt, Kevon Looney's hurt, COVID protocols, Eric Pascal was out. The Warriors' tallest player on their entire roster today was 6'7", Andrew Wiggins, 6'7". Kristaps Porzingis is 7'3". He had 5 rebounds. 5. He took 6 shots in the paint. You just can't do that. If you're a 7'3" player, you have to. He's like a 3-and-D wing at 7'3". You can't do that. He has so much size he's been gifted with, and he just doesn't use it. And it's really frustrating. Kristaps Porzingis and this team in general has just been really frustrating to watch this season because they don't take advantage of some of their advantages. Like, for example, probably the biggest one is Kristaps Porzingis' height. He has to get in there and get rebounds. He has to go into the paint. He can't be, like, I mean, tonight he shot well from 3. Okay, I'll give it to him. But he can't be out there chucking threes all game when the Warriors' tallest guy is 6'7". And that comes into the big rebounding issue where he gets 5 rebounds against a team with Andrew Wiggins as their tallest player. You can't do that. You have to be better. Like sure, Draymond Green is a great player. Draymond Green was fantastic tonight. He's a really good defender. He makes it tough to score in that paint. He did a great job filling in at center tonight. But you are 7'3". You can just shoot. Oh, you can just like back in there and shoot over him. Kristaps Porzingis, like he probably had the same amount of post-ups tonight as Brad Wanamaker, and Brad Wanamaker is like my height. It's not good. They got out-rebounded tonight with 2 7-footers on the roster. They have Porzingis and Boban, and they got outscored 54 to 34 in the paint with 2 7-footers. And Luka's taller than the Warriors' tallest guy. Like, there's no rim protection. You have to take advantage of that, and they just didn't. They didn't go after it at all. And that partially comes towards Rick Carlisle, who I do think deserves a lot of blame for the way that the Mavericks are playing this season. He's, like, I've long thought of Rick Carlisle as one of the best coaches in the NBA. He just has that reputation. I think a lot of it comes from the Mavericks' continued, like, run of success where they just always make the playoffs. That 2011 run, he does deserve a lot of credit for that. He was a phenomenal coach during that run. But he's kind of losing me. And it's just because, like, moments like this where you face a Warriors team that is so outmatched in one area of the game and you do not attack them at all in that area. At all. You can't get outscored by 20 points in the paint when this team has no one above 6'7". You can't do that with 2 7-footers. Luka Doncic, who's an incredible... he's just incredible at attacking the rim. He's a great finisher around the rim, and he just doesn't attack. Like, they had some success forcing it into the paint, and they just stopped. They just completely stopped and started settling for threes. And 50 of their 92 shots tonight were threes against a team with no center. Charles Barkley said it tonight. Chuck gets a lot of hate for some of the stuff he says, but he did say something I liked tonight. He was just ripping on the Mavericks for shooting threes. He was like, they are small. You need to stop shooting so many threes. He's like, you're just chucking up threes, and if you're not making the threes, you lose. And that's kind of been their mentality this season. If they're not hitting the threes, then they're going to lose. And even tonight, where they were hitting the threes, they still got blown out. It's just frustrating to watch, man. It's unbelievable. And now I'm going to get back into what I talked about earlier, the playmaking issue. Luka averages 9.6 assists. Jalen Brunson averages 3.4. And he's like their point guard. Luka, you could consider a point guard too, but plays more shooting guard sometimes. The next after Jalen Brunson is 1.8 assists. There is no playmaking on this roster outside of Luka and like maybe Jalen Brunson, who's like an okay playmaker. If Luka's not on the court, there's no playmaking at all. It's just like ISOs. The offense stagnates, and even with Luka on the court, it's like a Luka driving kick to a 3, and that's like the only play they know how to run. It's just not. It's not sustainable. You can't win a lot of games like that. And for an offense that was like one of the best in the league last season, it's so weird to see how stagnant they are. They just don't take advantage of mismatches they get. They don't take advantage of what they're given. They just make everything really difficult. And I do think losing Seth Curry is a big piece. I do think that the COVID has been an issue for them. Injuries have been an issue for them. But even outside of that, they just haven't looked good, even when they are healthy. And they're skidding. They're playing really bad basketball right now. And if they don't turn it around soon, it's going to be a huge problem. I think this team definitely will make some moves. An idea I kind of just like half thought of earlier before this video is James Johnson and Dwight Powell for Andre Drummond. It fixes your rebounding problem, but it does not fix the problem where you cannot shoot the three-pointer. It doesn't fix your playmaking problem. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting idea. There's no point in them tanking this season either because the Knicks have the Mavericks pick. And that pick out of nowhere, a pick that a lot of people, including myself, thought was like not even a question to be valuable pick, it's really valuable now because if this Mavericks team keeps sucking in this loaded draft class and with these changed lottery odds where teams can just hop up and down randomly, this pick, if it ends up in like the 6 or 7 range or maybe even 8, 9, this pick could jump to the top 3, 4, and the Knicks could add a huge playmaker, and like a Cade Cunningham to put alongside R.J. Barrett. They could add a huge piece to their future in this draft from the Kristaps Porzingis trade, which a lot of people, honestly, including myself, that was a terrible trade for the Knicks. And now it's looking a lot more interesting. So keep an eye on that. But I think that's all I want to say. I kind of ranted a lot. I wasn't sure how long this video was going to be, but the Mavericks have kind of frustrated me. Kristaps Porzingis has to be better. This team just has to be better in general. Luka's got to shoot better. Rick Carlisle's got to be better. This is a team a lot of people had high expectations of, and I made a video yesterday talking about the Heat, who have probably been the most disappointing team in the East. I'd say the Mavericks are probably the most disappointing team in the West. Both of these teams had really high expectations coming into the season, and neither are meeting them at all. I guess we'll see if the Dallas Mavericks can turn it around, but if they can't, this is a waste of a season, and Luka's getting frustrated. It shows a lot of the time. And I know he's young, but you do not want to frustrate a generational player like that, especially now that he's already tasted, like very early in his young career. A lot of young players don't get frustrated because they don't taste that playoff success. Now that Luka kind of tasted playoff success, and they had a shot to win that series against the Clippers. They played really good basketball, especially, like I said, if Kristaps doesn't go down, they've got a shot to win that series. And now that he's tasted that playoff success, he wants more of it. He's already thinking championships, which is great. That's an awesome mentality for a young player. But it's tough for the Mavericks now because if you don't start meeting those expectations, Luka's going to get pissed off really fast. And you do not want to piss off a generational talent. You cannot waste a talent like that, especially when he fell to you at number 3 and you got really lucky that he was there. You can't waste that. It's still very early in Luka's career. I'm not saying the Mavericks are going to waste it. The Mavericks are a good franchise. But I guess that's all I want to talk about. So I will see you guys later. Everyone say it back.